Welcome back to the only official Greenhouse 6 exit interview. We are here at Hot Takes and Big Mistakes, here with juror number 7? Juror number 7, Josh, aka Piglet.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I had a great time in the house. Unfortunately, went out at a time that I didn't think I was going to go out, but, I think I've had fun. I made good relations in the game, and at the end of the day, the chips fell where the chips fell. I had a bad move and didn't uproot myself when I should have.
So, what happened? Who put you in that situation?
So Zach put me up on the block, and I was feeling confident that it was going to be Johnny going home, and I had no idea that Taylor was working with Johnny also. So when she uprooted, I was thinking that she did that because she kind of briefly told me about something like that. I think like the round before that she was thinking about doing something of that sort, and I thought that she was going to uproot and then just keep it for herself so that so that Johnny wouldn't uproot or wouldn't have the ability to.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looked at me and she was like, "You're good." And yeah, and then the chips fell otherwise, and I was like, "Fuck."
Also, before I forget, this will come out right after your elimination, but not after a winner. So we're gonna pretend like this is right after you got out. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's like anything that happened after didn't happen.
Yeah, I can't reference her winner.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Next question is, you were someone who I think was able to fly under the radar. As people were doing exit interview after exit interview, we were asking who was most under the radar, and you were the most responded. If the stats might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure you were the most responded. As well, when we asked people who their winner pick is, a handful of people predicted you would be the winner. Does that shock you that people felt that way?
No, it does not shock me, not one bit.
Why?
Because from the start, everybody was coming up to me and they're like, "Oh, I feel good with you. I love your vibes. I want to work with you." And I never made like a solid final two thing because I felt as if I did that, that was going to put me in a bad position in the future. So I was like, let me not make a solid final two. Let me just continue to feel and go round by round because of the way that the game was going in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The votes were flipping left and right. And I didn't want to be caught in a fire with one side and then caught in a fire with a different side if I was with them. So I was like, let me just suss it out on my own and just continue to go back and forth as needed until the dust settled, and then I could start to really pull through to the end.
Mm.
And when the dust settled, it was when I would say probably when Oscar and Elise were getting out. And then I was like, all right, now I can finally start to establish something serious. But it doesn't surprise me that they were saying that because of the fact that a lot of people were coming to me. For example, Matt came to me and gave me one of his bank votes. Did not even ask for it. He just did it. Things like that were happening, so I was feeling pretty confident within the jury.
Oscar handed you bank votes as well, right?
Yes.
And you didn't use them.
I did not use.
Will you talk about that decision?
Okay. So I used because someone else. I'm blanking at this point, but someone else gave me a bank vote, and I used that one. I think I used 2, and then I saved 2.
Mm-hmm.
Reason being was because Johnny came to me, and Johnny said, "We have the numbers already," and I wasn't confident that they actually had the numbers. So then I went to Taylor, and I looked, and she did have numbers with her. I wanted to see it physically, and so at that point, I was like, "There's no way that my votes that I have within me are going to keep Oscar." It was going to be like a 5-4 situation. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, let me just save these 2. And then once it comes to the finale, I could use that and put trust in someone so that they can vote for me to be in the finale. I'm in the finale. And then I'm in front of a jury that hates 2 people next to me and feels decent about myself. And then I can win them that way.
I love that. Big part of the show, hot takes, big mistakes. Let's get into some of your hot takes. This is where the girls have been getting messy. So okay. Join your piglets in the mud, let's say.
Let's do it.
Who was the biggest ass kisser of the season? Wait, no. Who was the biggest ass kisser so far?
Biggest ass kisser so far. I can go past players and people currently in the game.
Anyone out? Yeah, actually, yes. Anyone.
Biggest ass kisser.
2 people in the game.
People in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say biggest ass kisser would probably be me and him played a similar game. I would say Josh. We were both going from side to side, and we were both just eating it up. I think we both played the ass kissing role, in a sense. But with people, like I said, like with people when they were coming to me, they all thought that I was with them, and I was able to just keep telling like Emily, girl, I'm with you. You're good. You're good. And then I would go over to Elise and Oscar, and I was like, I mean, this is happening over here. So I was able to balance it out decently.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say people still in the game because we have Johnny, who came out of nowhere, right? I think
Literally,
people
yeah.
thought he was gonna go home early, and then we have Taylor. I wouldn't say she's been an ass kisser so far. She's really just kind of been very frantic, very emotional when it comes to like decisions and things like that. And then we have Zach, and Zach's also kind of just been throwing shit out there left and right. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Josh.
All right, who is the biggest snake?
Biggest snake, Johnny. I would say Johnny would be the biggest snake. Reason being, wait, but do I have to do current players or can I do
Players in the game, yeah.
players in the game still? Okay. Then I would say Johnny. Reason being because he told me he was going to take me with him and then he didn't last minute, but I told him to get it. It was kind of my fault. I told him that I wasn't going to uproot myself if it was me and him because I wanted to save my seeds for the finale. So I get why he didn't do it, but I would have to pick Johnny because actually, actually, I'm going to make a change.
Switch up.
I'm going to make a change. I'm going to say biggest snake, Zach. Because Zach ratted out Johnny and said that Johnny and Emily were a couple, and I had no idea. So I would say he went back on his word. I'm going to pick Zach now I think about it.
I love that. Another hot take. Who do you think has played the messiest out of the people who are eliminated? Who played the messiest? Who made the biggest mess and you just were like, oh,
Oscar.
girl.
Oscar down. Oscar down.
Oscar Boots.
Oscar boots the house down Tina Dupree.
A 10 hut.
Thank you. A 10 hut. Reason being because, I mean, Oscar literally... Oscar, we would be, like, getting ready to vote, and then Oscar, it'd be silent in the room, and Oscar would go, oh, we're sticking to the same plan.
Stay on the plan,
Stay on the plan. So everybody stay on the plan.
Crazy.
Crazy.
The comfort you have to have in that, but also the audacity to say it in a group.
The audacity you have to
Crazy.
say that is crazy. I can't believe Oscar would do that.
Love you, sister, but...
I love my sister so much, but that was crazy. He also would tell people things that he should not have told them. Like, it was crazy. Oscar was playing such a messy game. It was so fun to watch because it was fun to have him in my corner. Because when things were getting bad, I was like, yeah, well, Oscar said this, Oscar said that. I was able to do some of that and put attention on him. But Oscar was playing such a messy game, and I do not understand how he didn't get out sooner.
I don't either, to be fully honest.
I don't understand how he didn't get out sooner.
Before I send you off to the rest of the jury, who I'm sure will be very excited to see you, two things. Who do you want to follow you out the door?
I would want Taylor to follow me out the door because I didn't know about this uproot situation that she was doing, and she looked me in the eye after, and she was like, so I would pick Taylor.
All right. My final question. We got the hot takes. Time for the big mistakes. What was your biggest mistake in the game?
My biggest mistake in the game was, I would say, my biggest mistake in the game was definitely, I think I could have ended up going to the top 4 if I would have uprooted myself. So I think that was my biggest mistake. If I would have uprooted myself, yeah. Because I was like, there's a 50-50 chance right now that either I uproot and I make it to top 4, but then now I'm out of seeds. Yes, I think I would have like 2 banked votes and a seed left. But if I keep all these things with me and I was feeling kind of confident that could have happened, then I would have had more of a chance to disperse those things and still have it end up in my favor. So I would say that was my biggest mistake. But overall, honestly, I'm also surprised that I didn't get out sooner because I was on the block against 2 other people and I got no votes.
That was wild.
That was crazy.
That was wild. Well, this pig may have become bacon and is going to be joining the jury where you guys will vote for a winner shortly. I can't wait to see what you have to say to the top And thank you so much. It was so fun to watch you play. You're a genius.
Thanks,
I love
sister.
you. You're my favorite. And
Thanks.
it's very sad that we're sitting here.
I know. I thought I was gonna make it to the end. I just saw the finish line, and I have astigmatism, so maybe I didn't see it fully.
Yeah, it was like a light reflection thing.
Something like that. So let's say that. Let's say that.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and good job, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll see me again. Who knows?
Bye.
Bye.
My ass. Just kidding. It's not on social media.
Not for free.
Yeah, right.
Welcome back to the official Greenhouse 6 exit interviews. Hot takes, big mistakes. We are here with the 8th/9th final juror, just blindsided. Welcome, Josh.
What's up, Brady?
How you doing?
Ready to set the record straight.
Yeah, well, let's just jump right into it. What just happened, and what do you want to set straight?
I trusted somebody going into the round that I got eliminated in.
Name them.
I had to think about it because they don't even take up that
Name
much
them.
room in my head. But their name is Taylor. I thought I could trust you, Taylor. And you showed me your true colors at the very end. So, congrats to you.
Did you see any of that coming, or was that a complete blindside?
No, it was a complete blindside.
Because if I recall correctly, the two of you had pinky promise not once, not twice, on a cat's life maybe as well. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how that may play a role when it comes to voting for a winner?
Roll the footage. Well, first, I just want to say I hope her cat is doing well. Because, bad things happen to people that lie, and she put her cat's life on that. So, what was the question?
I'm going to be honest, after that setup, I don't even remember what I fully asked you. Oh, how is it going to, do you think that'll affect the way you vote for a winner?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah?
100%. Now, am I happy with the people that I have to vote for? No.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Taylor, of course, lied to me. And I know that now her and Zach were working together because she gave her chips to Zach.
And you gave your two to her,
To her.
correct?
Which is what we had. Pinky promise, double pinky promise, and then hugged on. Her poor kitty.
I want to ask you, do you think there's anything you could have done to be sitting in one of those chairs right now? And do you think they took you out because you might have beat them if you were sitting at those final chairs?
Yes, I do think I could have done something differently. So I was a little birdie, came and told me that I should split my chips a little more evenly. And by this time, I had used one of my chips to look at the seed count. So I already knew what was what. I knew the tea.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why I felt so confident working with Taylor. I'm not going to speak on that anymore. But I forgot the question, but I'm going to make up another.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I would. Give me something else.
All right. We'll just keep it moving then. I do think a fun way to... No, ignore that. Taylor, cut that. Something I saw in your game is it did feel like a slow burn in the sense that you ignited those relationships,
Mm-hmm.
you lit the candle, and I think it was a slow burn,
Mm-hmm.
but as it got lower and lower, the flame did get hotter and hotter. And I felt like you had more control as the game went on. Do you feel like that's how your game was played out, and was that intentional to slow burn? Talk a little bit more about that.
It was not. I really didn't have any intentions going into this game except to win. And this is my first ever live game. I've never seen any episodes of Greenhouse. If you heard me say that I have, that was part of my strategy. And so going into the house, of course, I didn't know who was connected to who. And I just want to meet as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I know that different live games require different strategy. And I think as I play more of those, I'll, of course, grow in that and become better at who I should talk to and who I should let know what. But I don't think I change a thing about the way I establish my relationships within the game now when people were starting to be banished.
Mm-hmm.
it was like, oh, whoa, like what's going on? Because people are forming alliances left and right, 3 groups, 2 groups, 4 groups, 6 groups. Like, it was crazy. And of course, the game is the game. We're running in and out of rooms. You don't know who's in what room. So you really have no idea what is going on except for what you are being told and what you're seeing with your own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy with what I was seeing. I was happy with my progress with those relationships, as some of my stronger relationships were kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, I know I'm talking in circles here, but no, I wouldn't change it.
Love to hear it.
I like my slow burn.
Welcome back to the Greenhouse 6 exit interviews. Hot takes and big mistakes. We are here with a big old loser cut right before the surprise. Wait. Yeah, you got out. Cut before the finale. The biggest loser, potentially, you and Josh. How are you feeling?
You know, I actually feel extremely fine because I can't think of anything that I could have done differently to change the outcome of what happened.
Yeah.
I even think back to the moment where Elise dropped me 3 seeds in public and I flushed them immediately because I didn't want to have them. But I think that those seeds would have just been used against me in the final 5 anyways because I ended up getting uprooted regardless. So I feel pretty good. I love the game that I played. I really wanted to play assertively and aggressively every single round in a different way and just make something happen for my own game in each round. And I feel like I did that. So I had a blast. This is like the best I've done in any of these games, so it was cool.
That's so exciting to hear. And one thing I really want to talk about is you had a pre-existing relationship coming into the quite literally relationship coming into the game.
Me and Matthew, we've known each other for a very long time.
So you and Emily are dating. That's correct,
yes,
right?
That is correct.
And that there was a handful of people who knew and didn't weaponize it. Were you shocked that people didn't weaponize that or pit you two against each other?
Yes. So I thought that so there were 3 people that knew. Oscar knew inherently because him and Taylor came to my live game in August, and Oscar's friends with Taylor, and Oscar's married to Taylor. I'm friends with Taylor. Oscar knows that we're dating. Zach knows that we're dating because Emily applied to his org and then dropped out, and she kept referring me. So he knew the both of us because I had played an org with Zach as well. And then I told Taylor during the final, I want to say like 14 or 13, that we were dating because we had a 4-person alliance, and I did not want her to be the only person in our foursome that didn't know, because I wanted to treat that alliance like gold. And if I could treat it like gold and everyone knew, then they would trust me. And I was trying to just build a reputation from those people that they could trust everything that I said and trust my intentions, so that way they would want to keep me around. So, yeah.
Happy to hear it. Love it.
Oh, and Matthew knew, but I had no idea he knew until very recently.
Yeah, he definitely knew.
Okay.
But he held on to it.
He did.
Something I also want to talk about is, I want to say potentially around top 8, top 9, there was a lot of different moments where people started chattering and comparing notes that you had pitched multiple Final 5s. Do you think, is this news to you?
Yeah, I don't think I pitched. And are you talking about Thomas or me?
You.
I do not think I pitched any Final 5s.
Okay, well then, someone had wrong information on my observations. I believe that there was someone saying you were working in several trios, as well as
That
had
is
multiple
true.
Final 5s.
I did a lot of trios. I think the only 5 I was ever in was I was trying to make Oscar join our alliance of 4, but he just wasn't down.
Yeah.
So he knew that the 4 of us were working together, which is why he was such a threat, but we couldn't get him out. I do think you might be talking about Thomas, though, maybe.
No. Thomas was a mess. Thomas,
he was a hot mess.
He got that too. Don't worry.
Okay.
Something I want to talk about inside of that is you had a ability to make people trust you and feel like everyone you talked to, it seemed like you were trying to make them feel like they were your number one. I think you did a really great job. How did you go about doing that and also not making a mess and avoiding people comparing notes too much to make you a target?
I think a lot of this cast had really loose lips, and I did not. So whenever people would tell me information, I really didn't regurgitate it unless I felt like it was endangering my closest allies. There were a lot of things people told me, and a lot of times I told people that regardless of what it was and regardless of who it endangered, I wouldn't repeat it. The only thing that endangered one of my closest allies that I didn't tell anybody was I knew that Emily was going to get fly trapped, and I was okay with it because I knew that eventually that secret was going to come out if we were both in the game too deep with each other, and I could tell that Taylor was wavering on us, and I didn't want her to waver on me. And I even Taylor and Zach basically told me, they were like, I know you want to tell Emily, because I was sitting on a couch with the two of them. They were like, I know you want to tell Emily, but if you tell Emily, you're going to get fly trapped. And it was basically like a threat of like, if you tell her, then you're going to get eliminated from the game. And I didn't know what to do. And she's my girlfriend, and I tell her 100% of 100% of the things that I do in my life 100% of the time. But this is that, like, not 100% of the time that I couldn't do that. And it's very hard, but she is like the veteran of these games. Like, she played these games long before I did, and she has played 13 live games. Like, she is like the queen of live. She's won 3 different games, and she is very, very impressive in the grand scheme. If anyone that like knows her, sees her in a game, they are so dangerously threatened. And I don't think anybody knew that she had that reputation in this game, which is what she wanted to come in with. But yeah, I guess I think a lot of this cast had loose lips. I kept things to myself.
Correct. She also had a fierce bang. I think that contributed to a lot of her success. A fierce bang.
Oh my god, she looks like Taylor Swift.
Okay.
She says she looks like Taylor
Okay.
Swift, and my aunt told her she looks like Taylor
I can
Swift, and
kinda
ever
see it.
since then, she can't get rid of it.
Beautiful eyes, too. Beautiful brain.
She's the most beautiful person I've ever met in my life.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Good answer. Something I want to ask you about as well that I'm shocked we haven't got into. I feel like we should have started with it. What the hell just happened?
Oh,
How did you end up
man.
here?
Honestly, I don't even think I should have made it out of the final 5. I didn't have seeds. I was at their mercy. I thought I was going to get evicted by Josh or Piglet, because if Piglet uprooted, then he would have had the sole vote, and I think he would have gotten rid of me. And if Josh had it, I think he would have gotten rid of me. But I don't think Josh should have gotten rid of me, and he told me he wouldn't have, because I think we were each other's biggest crutch to get to the finale, which is how I think I got out of that. And it's a pitch I made to him that he was extremely receptive to, and it was a pitch I thought of in the moment that I was very proud that I made that pitch, because I don't know if he was thinking that way, and I do think it saved me there. But I also was the one that told Taylor and Zach that they should use their seats to give me the uproot, so I had the sole vote, because I told them the whole, like, this guarantees we're in the final 3 if the person that remains, because I was in a 4 with them the whole time. So I really thought that we were going to the 3 together. I think the move that they made is one of the most impressive moves I've seen happen in a game to me. I feel like every time I get eliminated from a game, it happens with some secret or some blindside or someone needs a power or something. And I feel like the same thing happened here, where like they needed to tie the chips to make sure that 2 of us went home so they could sit in the finale with a chance to win. Because honestly, I do think if they were sitting against Josh or me, I do think they both could have lost. And I think that was the perfect move. And I almost wish you could reward one of them for it, but you can't because they both did it.
Right.
So I forget your initial question.
Well, you answered it. It was
Okay.
just what
Yeah,
the
what
hell
happened?
just
And
happened.
honestly, I thought that I was going to be the person. I thought they wanted me out at 5 or 4. I think they took me to 4 because it would be an insurance policy. Then I was trying to give pitches as to why I thought I was a better person to bring than Josh, and I was just hoping they were receptive to it. They told me that they were receptive to it. They told me they were taking me to 3, and then they cut me viciously, and it was so cool.
Love to see it. I love to see someone who is so deeply rooted in a lot of LRGs get to play a game like this.
Mhm.
I think it's very different from a lot of other games
Me
I've
too.
seen. I also think Taylor's just a genius for the way he built this game and the
Mhm.
structure of it. Anyways, that's me kissing ass trying to get renewed for a second season of Hot Takes and Big Mistakes. Speaking of hot takes, I want you to hit me with your quick hot takes
Got you.
on a couple questions. Are you
Mhm.
ready?
Yep.
Who kissed the most ass?
Taylor.
Oh, nice and quick. I love that. What about who was the biggest snake?
Zach.
Ooh. And who flew under the radar?
Piglet.
All right. I think those are all good answers.
Mhm.
Do you want to elaborate on any of them, or are you happy
Oh,
with
you
that?
just said fast, so I was like expecting.
No, which is totally fine.
Um,
I have said to every single person that it needs to be well, I haven't said it needs to be. I've said like it's a quicker thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has expanded on their answer, so please feel free to elaborate on any of that.
Yeah, I think Taylor was just like constantly trying to play like the typical good winner Big Brother game, which is like amicable with everybody, everybody's good friend, making sure that she's good with people, making sure she's not turning on anyone too hard so she doesn't get targeted in the future. She was always worried about being targeted in the future. So that's why I think she kissed the most ass. I think Zach was the biggest snake because I think he's vicious and I think he made a lot of moves that were like big moves that I thought other people made, but then like when you kind of hear him talk about his game, I feel like he was also responsible for, which I just think players that could keep secrets like that and then get to the finale and expose those secrets, it's just insanely impressive. And I also think that's snake behavior. And then underestimated, I think Piglet played like an incredible game. I think at a certain point I was thinking he was going to be like one of the next to go at the final 11 or 10. And then it got to a point where every single person, including myself, was like, oh man, like, I'm really good with Piglet, and I think Piglet's my closest person. And Emily and I were going to bed last night, and she told me that Piglet was her closest person. And I was like, oh, that's weird, because I actually kind of think that he's becoming one of my closest people, too. And I think that's just a thing that makes you very underestimated, especially when I think of the, like, what I would call, like, the 7 people that we were deeming responsible for the Kiera Blythe succession blindsides. And, well, Blythe wasn't a blindside, but the Kiera one was a huge blindside. And I thought everyone that wasn't included in that 7 was going to kind of be picked off, and that the 7 was just going to explode on each other when it got to that point. And I think we all made it to day 2. Matt didn't, but we all made it to day 2, and then I knew that we were just going to cannibalize each other. And I think the people that were in day 2 that were not in that made the day much more exciting. And 2 of them made the final 5 with me, and I think they were both ridiculously incredible players. And there's a reason why they were able to not be 9th, 8th, 10th, you know.
Cool. So we covered the hot takes. Let's talk about biggest mistakes. What was your biggest mistake?
I think it was not ensuring my end game harder. I think from the day started rough for me. I really thought that I was going to get out in that first round. And I didn't think I had much shelf life left. I thought that maybe I'd get 7th or 6th. At the final 7, initially, I was supposed to go on the block with just Zach, and I was like, this is not good. And they told me that Zach was the target, and I want to be the pawn. And when someone tells me that I'm the pawn, that means that I'm very close to being eliminated from the game, and it might not be that round, but it will be a future round. So while I was in the game, I think I was playing 2 round to round, and I didn't have my sights on the finale. I also think I did too much. I think I did have to do too much to survive because I was in so much trouble all day today. But I think that the moves I had to make got me to the final 4. It just so happens that the people that I was aligned with felt like I did more than them, and that they had to cut me before the finale, which is such a flaw. Because you want to be the person that is like the most threatening of the least threats. And I don't think I did that. And I was trying to be conscious of doing that, but I couldn't pull it off while also keeping myself safe.
Yeah.
So it was a tough balance. I don't think it was something in the realm of my control. I refuse to say burning Elise's 3 seeds was a mistake, because the same uproot that they took me off at the final 5, they would have just made me use my seeds. So the same thing would have happened at final 5 regardless.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, that was dumb that you burned your seeds. And I thought it could have been silly too, but in hindsight, knowing how things played out at the final 5, I would have had to burn my own seeds. I would have had 0 seeds at the final 4 regardless, so what happened to me at the final 4 could have been the same. If anything, there might not have been a tie, because there would have been an odd number of seeds in the game, so I don't know how they could have tied it, but I think if they really wanted to tie it, they could have found a way to tie it. And then I think at the final 4, the only other thing, and I didn't know the depths of Josh's relationship with Zach and Taylor, but I mentioned to him lightly that he should split his seeds, so that way one of us could be guaranteed a spot in the finale. And in hindsight, I was also 4th out of 4 on that hierarchy. I thought I was 3rd out of 4 on the hierarchy, which is kind of all I thought that I needed. But I wish I hammered harder to Josh that he couldn't trust them and that he should split his seeds, so one of us would have gotten a shot in the finale, because I do believe that that was a game-winning move for both of us. But also, I was not aware of the alliance that he had with them. So I kind of thought that I was in a trio, and Josh was the 4th, and Josh was the person that they were trying to pick off. And I was trying to, give Josh an out when I thought that he felt like he was genuinely down and out. But he was not down and out. He was probably better ingrained than I was. So I don't count that as a mistake, but it's something that I wish I hammered on harder, because I had the thought for him to split the seeds, but they weren't my seeds, so it wasn't my control.
Right.
But I love giving people ideas of things that they could do in the game that I think would also benefit me, but are things that I could also be like, I gave this idea to this person, and even though it was them that did it, I think I gave them the idea. Some jurors don't like to hear that, so I don't think that would have worked. I also think I was becoming the mafioso, dislikable character at a certain point in time, which I also did not think was going to bode well with the jury, so I don't really know how I would have fared in a finale.
Regardless, you were a social threat.
Yeah.
I do think you killed it. You won when you needed to win. You were in the right places. And I think I'm going to go off alphabetical order and say you're juror number 8. You /9. We're going to say 8/9. Congratulations on as far as you made it. you get to go pick a winner. You get to go vote for a winner who just backstabbed you, regardless.
Yes.
So have fun. Congrats on playing so well.
Thank you.
And we'll see y'all with the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, welcome back to Hot Takes and Big Mistakes with our runner-up of the season, Zach. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, like, in online games, I've gotten runner-up a lot, so I've come to just, like, be, like, okay with it, because I'm proud of the game I played. I felt like it would be an uphill battle for me to get any respect from the jury, so I'm happy I got 4 votes. And honestly, like, first final 2 and a 5-4, I'm just happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, you killed it. Clearly, you had the momentum with 5-4. What do you think you could have done to swing that one more vote, or what do you think happened to lose that vote?
I think Josh was very mad at Taylor, but at the end of the day, respected the game. Piglet, I know, was close with Taylor the entire time, so there's not too much I think I could have done there. Zakai, they had their thing night 1, and I wasn't there night 1, and I feel like that contributed a little bit, but, like, I don't want to say it was purely that. Who else voted for Taylor? I'm trying to remember the votes, like, as I go. Thomas? Fuck Thomas.
Yeah, where did that come from? Why do you think he voted Taylor over you?
I don't know. Listen, I'm driving him home. I'm gonna be like, girl,
crash the car.
Yeah, I literally told them, like, before, like, after they cast the votes, before they were read, I was like, Thomas, if you didn't vote me, you're walking home.
And it's cold. It's cold tonight.
Oh yeah, and that's like a long walk.
Let the frostbite get him.
But I don't know. I think it's because I feel like Thomas expected me to work with him a bit more, but I realized that he was a very loud, outspoken player. And my gameplay doesn't work super well with somebody that it's going to take information and then say, girl, I'm going to go and tell them. Like, when I told them the Matt thing, I did not expect them to be like, I'm going to go confront Matt, because that, and, like, could very easily have put me in a bad situation. I'm sure I could have done better in my speech, you know, I'm sure there's things I missed, but after, like, the fatigue hits you of just playing this game for 2 days and not sleeping too great either night, it just kind of gets to you, and I'm sure I missed a few things that could have swung votes. Oh, and also Elise. Me and Elise did not talk for, like, the last 2 rounds she was in the game.
Until y'all were handcuffed together. Oh, you're talking after the handcuffs.
After the handcuff thing, just because I was like, okay, girl, like, I would have been willing to foster a relationship there, but she did not seem willing, and that's her prerogative. I mean, like, she doesn't have to talk to me. I know there were a couple times in the rounds after that where, like, I would round a corner and see her there and try to talk to her, and then she would just run away. And I was like, okay, I get the vibe you don't want to talk to me, and that's okay. I just have to, you know, get you out.
Something I thought was really interesting is I don't think you were a player afraid to go against the majority, but the way you did it was often behind the scenes. For example, it started yesterday morning. It started the first week when Kareem was on the block. You were one of the 2 votes to keep Kareem, even though it kind of seemed like the House was moving that way. You also called out on camera that it would be stupid to get rid of Kareem, who was a volatile player, who went way too hard at the start. So you had your foot on the gas the entire time. What was something driving you to be able to play in the shadows like you did, and how did you protect yourself?
You know, I think, like, going out there, I didn't know what type of game I wanted to play. And I think ultimately I was just like, okay, be as honest as you can without spilling too much information. And, you know, if you have a strong opinion about something, say something, because I know I would kick myself in the foot for days and days after if I didn't say what I wanted to say. I also want to admit that, like, I didn't know Thomas before that day, but I did drive him, so that helped a little of a pre-existing connection. And I've played a game online with Johnny before, and I know Emily, like, through friends, and then I just know Taylor's around, but that sort of not super pre-existing connection, but just knowing and being aware of each other. And for the Kareem round, and at least in the early game, and I know I fostered a little bit of this as it went on, especially with the Blythe round. I'm not a huge fan of groupthink in a house setting. And when everyone was just piling on Kareem, when it was like, okay, he's a volatile player, he's an easy target that we can just nominate later. I was like, if everybody's going with this, I want to see if there's another way to do it. And I think that also helped contribute, you know, to the game being like, things could spiral at any minute. And I like to think I had a contribution to that because people knew that I'd be down to pull a move.
Mhm.
And with starting early on with that Matt vote and all the early votes, it just kind of fostered anything could happen at the drop of a hat. And I feel like I contributed to that. For Kareem, like I wasn't super close to him. So I wanted to at least throw a vote on Zakai just, to have a little bit of paranoia around to create a little bit of chaos.
Mhm.
But I didn't want to like stick my neck out for him because I'm not doing that round one, girl, now. But yeah.
I think that seeing your gameplay was so cool. I think that a lot of people clocked you for being quieter, but they didn't do anything about it, and that got you really far. With that being said, I want to transition it into the hot takes portion.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you questions, and you can answer as quick as you want. You can answer as messy as you want. But I just want to see what you got. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Who was the biggest snake today? Or who was the biggest snake this season?
The biggest snake this season. After hearing the finals, honestly, probably Taylor. I don't think anybody specifically went out of their way to snake me, except for a little bit of Elise, but that was after a round of being like, I want to work with you, and then that just not turning out all right. But I feel like Taylor snaked a lot of people, and that maybe contributed to her losing some jury votes. But I also think a lot of people respected the game, which I'm happy about because I know a lot of times in Greenhouse, people that play snaky games aren't really as respected as people that, are more friendly. Personally, as a juror, obviously, like, I lean towards myself, but I think if I was a completely unbiased juror, I would have voted for Taylor just because you never really see that type of gameplay excel. And
she
actually,
did it well.
actually be rewarded in the end. Obviously, still wanted to win, but
my next one is who kissed the most ass this season?
who kissed the most ass? Damn, I don't think anybody was particularly ass kissing. Let me think. Not, I really only think much of like the jurors. So like Zakai, and then there's Matt. I don't think Matt kissed any ass. No, he was just kind of like his own thing. Not Elise, not Oscar. That's a hard one. Because I don't think anybody particularly like. Oh no, Thomas. Fuck Thomas. I feel I like meeting him and talking to him over this weekend has been great. I love him, but also fuck him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he got in a certain position later in the game where nobody really trusted him, and he could have went anywhere. But he was also trying to like cuddle up with anybody that he could,
Yes.
and he would say anything to get in your ear and like have you think positively about him. I think part of the reason why he went home that round is that most of the people making the decision, first of all, were closer to me and weren't buying his bullshit, and second of all, everybody caught on that he was just trying to cozy up to everybody.
Yeah. Well, to wrap up, I want to ask you one last question. Who? Nope. I have a question and then wrap up.
Okay.
Another question for you that I want to hot take on is: did I already say who's the biggest snake?
Yeah.
And I said kiss ass.
The only other ones were winner, huh?
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I want to wrap up and ask you the last part: hot takes, big mistakes. What was your biggest mistake?
Biggest mistake. I think maybe one of my biggest mistakes is giving Taylor the seeds at the end. I think it could be interpreted either way by the jury, but I felt that my fate being in her hands was fine. I don't think I knew that she, at the end of the day, as a reasonable person, realizes that Josh would have beat her in almost every scenario, at least from the tunnel vision perspective of people still in the game. Obviously, I don't know how the jury did, and I've heard that the round table was feisty.
It was a mess.
And you know what? As every round table should. But I just went off a tangent, and I'm trying to remember. What was the question again? I'm so sorry.
What was your biggest mistake?
Biggest mistake. Yeah, so I feel like if I had more agency in those last 2 rounds, which I think I played the final 5 round very, very well. I want to give myself credit for that, but final 4, leaving it up to Taylor, I feel like took a little bit of an agency away from me when pretty much all my pitch is that I had agency. Even when I wasn't winning every single competition, even when I wasn't in the greenhouse 5 times like Elise, I was still able to, like, have a say in what went on. And I think that's impressive because a lot of times in the greenhouse, you're going to see people that are in the greenhouse over and over again, and those are the people calling the shots.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for playing. You absolutely killed it, especially
you.
for the first time in person playing a game. Second place is no small feat. You really killed it. And thank you so much for playing. We can't wait to see you back for something.
Thank you. I had such a good time.
Yay.
Thank you for this after show interview. A lot of times it's not as appreciated, but you know, it really helped me like look back on the game and like
You hear that, Taylor?
realize what I did. Yeah, after show interviews, good idea, great thing.
Love that. Thank you so much. I can't wait to
you.
see you play again. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
All right, welcome to the final episode. We are sitting here with our winner. Welcome to Hot Takes and Big Mistakes. Congratulations, Taylor.
Thank you.
How's it feel?
It feels so good, pretty unexpected. This is objectively the craziest game I have played, and so I'm glad that it all paid off.
We saw that it came down to a 5-4 vote.
Yes.
First off, I want to say, was Sunflower, Rose, Tulip, 2 immunities? Am I missing anything else?
No, I don't think so.
There's not much to miss.
Yeah.
You touched just about every aspect of power that you could. How did that feel to check all those boxes?
It felt great. I felt like I got the full experience. I will say I never got a banked vote, personally to me, which is
Didn't need it.
Didn't need it. But it felt great because I felt like I just truly got to play the crazy chaotic game that I ended up playing.
I love to hear that. Were you surprised at the 5-4 vote? Did you think it was going towards Zach? How were you feeling in those moments leading up to and during those speeches?
I thought I was fucking done for. I did not feel very great after the speeches. I said this going into the game that I wanted to have a redemption because I lost my last game and the jury speech because people underestimated my game until the episodes came out. So I really wanted to fix that, and so I felt like I was giving more in the jury speech, but I just felt like I wasn't saying what people wanted to hear. So I was feeling pretty nervy.
Going into those speeches, there was a lot of animosity, and I do want to say, sitting at that round table, they left that round table, and I think you're going to be shocked. They left that round table, not a single person willing to vote for you, and you swung the majority just based off your speaking. Do you think that the questions they asked set you up for success? Do you feel like the questions the jury was asking helped get you the win, or do you think it was just more your speeches in general?
I think some of the questions helped. I felt a little bit nervous when it kept turning back to loyalty, that at the end of the day, no matter what I said, I had burnt too many people, and if they weren't recognizing that I was trying to convey that I was playing the hand that I was dealt, and I didn't think it was going across, and I didn't think that the questions were helping that. So, I don't know.
So we saw honestly, a dominating game, even though it was quiet and a lot of it was more in the shadows. We saw from the green team with that first win, being on the winning team, not having to nominate a teammate, to the success in the greenhouse, the success in the immunities. Do you think that the success in the format of the game, or you succeeded more in the format of the game or more socially, or both?
I felt like I would say both. I think I came in knowing that I have never struggled socially in these live games. I feel like I always have that social capital, and I am known for actually doing pretty well in challenges. So I wasn't surprised I did well. But the challenges in the greenhouse are a lot different than your Survivor games or Big Brother games. So I was a little bit nervous because there were some where I thought I was going to do a lot better than I did, and some that I wasn't expecting to win and did. So I don't even know your question, but yeah.
I mean, you answered it.
Cool.
I want to talk about some of the final moments. So that final 4, you blindsided the hell out of not only Johnny, but especially Josh. Can you talk a little bit about why that was the decision you ultimately wanted to make? Especially RIP your cat, maybe. Because apparently there was a swearing on the cat, double pinkies.
So I kind of thought I was screwed a little bit at kind of final 6 and 4, and so I was just really trying to make sure I got to the end, but especially the final 4 round, I truly was going to take Josh to the end. So Zach had given me the seeds before that, and I just thought that if I took Zach, the other alliance members were going to vote for him. I just kind of felt weird about it, but I felt really good going with Josh, and because I thought we were playing similar games, and we had been I feel like we always vibed with each other, and we're kind of giving each other the look, and our connection just kind of grew really strong, especially today. Like I was telling Josh literally everything, and what it came down to was actually um, the hecticness of uprooting, which wasn't the plan. I was trying to reel Johnny in a little bit. I started getting my head that I thought Josh was a really good speaker, and I thought that more people were going to be voting Josh. I really thought he was like the end game threat. So that started making me worried. And then Johnny, I was like hoping that maybe people didn't respect that he already had a girlfriend, but he was a great talker too. So at the end of the day, when I realized that Josh had 2 seeds, I did want him to do the vote count to make it even, because I was like, it'd be kind of great to have a final 2, because I felt like no matter what combination of 3 there was, I thought that I was going to get like totally brushed over and underestimated either way. But I still want to go with Josh, and I was like really set on it. And then after I spoke to Josh, like Zach had came in, and so had Johnny, and we were talking, and I was just like in my head more and more about like, Josh is just going to win this thing. I think I'm throwing the game away. And it was after we had promised, and between the conversation of or after the conversation I had with everyone, I was doing a confession with Gabrielle, and I was just like, I feel like such a nasty person. I don't break pinky promises. Like, I really don't. It's like mine and Evan's thing. We fucking hate it. And I was like, I said I was going to do it. And when I said it in the moment, I was going to do it. Like, I really was. But then I started trying to be like realistic. Like, Taylor, you want this win. Like, maybe you still have a chance. Because I was like worried about like not having a chance either way. But then I was like, you know what? I think I can fight for it. I said from the beginning I wanted the chance to sell my game, and y'all will see when I put my seeds in, I took like an hour because I was like, I do not know what to do. I don't know what's best for me. But at the end of the time, I was just like, I wanted to let it come down to words. And I just felt like if Josh had the chance to speak, he was going to eat me up, and I was going to get flustered. And I came here to win. And so that's what did it. But it didn't feel good, because I really felt like Josh and I had like bonded an insane amount this last day.
I'm sure that sitting in that moment, you even said it to the jury that you were a little nervous about the villainous look. I want to specifically touch on Oscar's question, where he said that you appeared, I believe it was frantic, emotional, on the verge of tears. 1, did that shock you? And 2, was there intention behind any of that? I know you talked about it in your speech, but I want to hear a little bit more into your thinking there.
Completely shocked me. I will say I did come in, and I tend to do this in games, playing like the ditzy, I don't know, because I'm usually very straightforward that I'm a law student, and that comes with people thinking that I'm logical. And so I try to not become super intimidating after that. So I try to really dumb down, like, how does this greenhouse work? What should we do? I don't know. And also because I would try and like lay low, I feel like I'm always something like, I don't know, I want to talk to so-and-so before I figure it out. I'm still thinking about it. So I do get why he was saying like I seemed like hesitant, but I was never on the verge of tears. From what I've gathered, he's like alone in that thought. So I don't really know where that came from, but yes, it's part of the strategy to kind of dumb it down, but no, it was strategy.
Another thing I want to touch on, I believe you may have been the last person to touch the block, or at least one of the last 1 or 2. First of all, congratulations on making that far and not touching the block. But even I saw a lot of conversations where it did feel like you were almost, maybe not guilting, but just telling people like, I really don't want to touch the block. I'm nervous. You were able to rationale with people to save yourself from the block. What did you channel there to be able to perform that witchcraft?
I don't know. Maybe like trauma has like helped me do this. I don't know. Playing these games, I played orgs before I played live games. I played a few other live games before this, and I've consistently gotten to the end. So I kind of knew what it took to like play it down a little bit. And so I feel like the biggest thing was like, if I'm like confident I'm not going up, the threat level shows. Whereas if I'm like, I really just like don't want to go up, I'm really scared about going up, I think I could go, knowing that I didn't feel like it was true, I felt like it could keep me off a little bit longer. And also when you say that, you get reassurances from people a lot of times saying, no, I don't think you're on the block. No, I'm not hearing your name. So it's kind of like a way to ask for information without looking like you're seeking it.
Well, we've been calling it hot takes and big mistakes. I want to get into some of your hot takes. You played out the whole season, so you have a great perspective on what just happened. Who flew the most under the radar?
Josh.
Josh B? Or Piglet?
Josh.
Okay, Josh. Why?
He was playing a phenomenal game and nobody saw it, and I felt like we were actually playing the exact same game for a while. I felt like we were like crucial in votes, but like no one was really crediting us with that. So I hands on think he was playing the best game.
Right. Who kissed the most ass this season?
Who kissed the most ass? Maybe me.
Other people have said that.
I think I feel like self-awareness is
There's
key.
no shame in it. There really is no shame in it.
It's me, and that's usually what gets me in these games. It's why people think I'm so like I don't know what's going on. It's because I'm like I literally try and please everyone in these games.
What about who is the biggest snake?
The biggest snake? Me.
Also have heard that answer tonight. What was that feeling of playing a snaky game rather than a typical loyal game from what it sounds like you're used to?
So I've gotten to be a villain in an online game, but I was like very much a villain in terms of like I was very clear. I was not loyal to people because every round I was like I knew I was going because I was like a big threat in that game. So I was kind of just like talking my shit at tribal council, saying like funny villain games. This was like the first game where like I was like blindsiding people hard villain. Have absolutely never played this game before. I always look for my core group and I love writing it out with that. This game I felt like it slowly just became not an option because the people I wanted to work with at the start were getting picked off, and then the people I wanted to write it out with, I just like was never fully confident I was anyone's like number one. So it's weird. It doesn't feel it feels great to win, but like it doesn't feel great playing like that villainous. I don't know if I could do it again. Like it kind of feels like I can't wait to watch it, but also I'm like, it was wild playing from the side.
Yeah. One of the questions I want to ask is out of any of the contestants, any of the people you played with over the last couple weeks, who was the most delusional? Maybe the worst reads or hardest to work with or manage or control? Who was the delusional person this season?
The worst reads, most delusional. I think it's got to be my twin Oscar.
Really? Why?
I don't know. I feel like Oscar saw a lot of it from his perspective, but I don't think he had like the greatest read on like everyone else.
To zoom out a little bit, see the bigger picture.
Yeah, just my perspective.
So we usually wrap it up by saying what was your biggest mistake. You got the win, so I'm not going to ask that. I want to ask you, what is your advice to someone as a winner? What is your advice to someone who's going to play in the next season to get the win?
I think adaptability is key, and I don't see anything wrong with kind of shuffling it around and like being afraid to make moves. I feel like that's something I'm afraid to do in the past. I will say this season was a season of loose lips, sink ships, and I feel like we saw that early on. So don't do that. I will say I think there are ways to be a villain that's like not the way that I did it. So just like, I don't know, because it got me the win, but also I think you got to be careful doing what I did as well, because we are like all people at the end of the day.
Cool.
And don't break pinky promises, because like I know that I'm gonna have I just have a bad feeling about 2024 after that, honestly.
Uh-oh.
And I'm gonna have to like check on my cats. Like
I was gonna say,
second
well, y'all
day.
hold your cats tight tonight. As we close out this season of hot takes and big mistakes. Shout out to all the cats. We're so sorry for those losing cats over promises. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And due to your win, we just found out that the show is renewed for a 7th season. So we can't wait to see you, Greenhouse Season 7. Y'all bring it. And as you see here, a villain can absolutely win. Bring that energy.
It's villain season for
Thank
sure.
you, and congratulations. You killed it.
Thank you. Sorry you only got 4 seasons in the draft, by the way.
Bye, y'all.